Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the player ratings. Everton 0, Manchester City 2. Disappointing results. I thought we were going to hang, and I thought we were going to hang on for the draw. That's why it's a disappointing result, because I thought we were going to hang on for the draw. I think a lot of people probably feel the same, that we were gonna stick in there and get a point that felt deserved, if I'm honest. Just one of those things, wasn't it, really? But although a lot of people, I imagine, probably thought when James Tarkowski went off, maybe that was the turning point in terms of how we were going to defend, and it wasn't brilliant defending. Let's be honest. If you are watching this video and you haven't subscribed, please do. We are very, very close to 99,000, and if we get to 99,000, then we're only 1,000 away from getting 100,000. So if you are watching and you like the content and you watch and you like don't subscribe, then come on, it's free, for God's sake. It's free content. That's all we're asking for. We're asking for a subscribe. That's all we're asking for. No, so it was just disappointing, wasn't it? But I think, Man City are a really good side, and they kept the ball well, and they started moving around our players. And I don't think the subs adapted very well. All of them, to be honest. Don't think any of the subs adapted very well to the game. They never really, any of them got into it. Some weeks it happens like last week, and some weeks it happens like this week, where the opposition are just too good in terms of moving you around, and players don't get up to speed quick enough. And that's not just Michael Keane. That's a few of them there who came on today. But I thought we were worthy of a point today. Just two moments. I mean, I think once the first one's gone in, no one felt like we were going to score. I know we hit the post, and Branthwaite probably should score. In fact, if Branthwaite lets that drop, because he's got so much time, he can actually knock it in, but he takes the header quick and probably thinks he's going to knock it over the goalkeeper, and it is a good save. But it is one of those things. So let's get into the player ratings anyway. Jordan Pickford made a really good save in the first half. Low to his left at the Gladys Street end. Thought that was a really good save. It didn't have fizz and move. Second half made saves you'd expect him to make, and I just thought his kicking was a bit off today. I thought his kicking was a little bit too clever for some of our players, but then because it wasn't doing he was trying quite ambitious passing. You could see what we were trying to do. We were trying to beat their press with one pass, and it was the goalkeeper's pass most usually. And you can see what he's doing, but sometimes it was a little bit too quick, and sometimes it was poorly executed. So I think that annoyed quite a few people in the crowd. 75% pass accuracy for 52 touches. I mean, 52 touches. A goalkeeper should not be having 52 touches. So, yeah, I mean, apart from the kicking, I think he did all right. So I would give him a 6.9 for today's performance. Jake O'Brien, I thought he struggled a little bit against quick winger. And this is where I think centre-backs get found out playing a full-back, is when they're playing against really, really quick wingers. And both of the ones he played against were. So it was difficult, I think, for him. He never really got into the final third, obviously. 4 clearances, dribbled past 3 times. One clearance off the line. Ground duels, 3, didn't win any. Aerial duels won 1 out of 1. So I think it was a tough day for him. But I actually think Moyes could have given him the out, and that was the sub. I think when Tarky went down, I think that was the opportunity to put him at centre-back and put Patterson or Coleman or Ashley Young at right-back. For me, it would have been Patterson, but I think the other two with all their experience could have done well. I think that was an opportunity there because, as I said, being table passed 3 times wasn't his greatest day at right back, and it could have been 2 birds with 1 stone if he'd moved him into centre back. I found that sub very, very strange. I thought that was the most glaringly obvious sub in the world, as I said, for 2 reasons. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes managers, the best managers, don't see things that are right under their nose. And that, to me, I thought that was a glaring obvious opportunity. He did have one brilliant moment in the first half where Kevin De Bruyne's put the shot in and he's diving headed it away. But I do think he's had better days. And as I said, I think a right he hasn't exactly got a right back's body shape, so it's difficult. I just think when you're playing against a winger like that, it is really difficult. So don't think it was Jake's best game today, but I don't think the manager did him any favours either. So I'd give Jake O'Brien a 6.3. For Vitaly Mykolenko, I thought he did quite well, Mykolenko, except for the fact the goal came from his side. 3 clearances, 1 interception, 1 tackle, won 3 out of 3 ground duels. Didn't win his aerial duel, it was just 1. I thought he did quite well all day on that side. He got up and down as well. But unfortunately, the goal came from that side. And I don't know if he could have done more about it because he had the winger and then there was an overlap. And the overlapping player put the cross in. So I don't know if he could have done more for that. But, and again, this is where subs have let us down for me, because he's not been protected in that moment like he should have been. At all. So you'd expect the wide man to help him out there, and he hasn't been helped out. So, but I thought he had a decent all-round game. Mykolenko today didn't get affected. Played, by the pace and dealt with him. And as I said, he got up and down. Just looking for his crosses here. 2 crosses, both accurate crosses. I mean, that's good, obviously. So Mykolenko, I would give a 7.5 for today's game. James Tarkowski, obviously, very unusual to see James Tarkowski go off with the injury. He's only ever had to go off once, and that was simply because we were in injury time and he had to go off for 2 minutes for the head protocol, and we subbed him because obviously we couldn't be down to 10 men. So we subbed. So he's never gone off with an injury. It is a hamstring injury. It could rule him out the rest of the season. Who knows? Ground duels 5 out of 5. Aerial duels 2 out of 2. Was having a really, really good game. Having a really, really good game. Touches 40, pass accuracy 86. Was not letting anything. Big chances created 1. Obviously hit the post as well. Big chances for Brandthwaite, wasn't it? So involved in both of our best chances in the game. And I listen, the game didn't change when he went off, but I think there was just a general mood around the ground that if we go away with a clean sheet, we'd be very fortunate. So I mean, we're lucky in one way that getting an injury at this point of the season is not going to be a massive issue. But I just think the manager got the sub wrong. I really do. I think he got the sub wrong. I think he probably thought, well, I'll just go like for like. Michael Keane hasn't played, but if you've got a centre back playing, you got your 3rd choice centre back playing right back. Well, I think he's his 3rd choice centre back. I know managers don't like to move things around too much because you've give people instructions and stuff. I just thought he got that completely wrong. But I thought Tarky was having a really, really good game up to that point. Really solid performance. Really not letting anything get past him. Really, you could tell he was concentrating. He was on the game. He was going in hard, but not stupid like obviously we've seen him do in the past. Maybe the foul at Anfield has really woken him up to he can't be stupid anymore. And it's such a shame. It really is a shame. So Tarky, I'd give a 7.8 8 for today's performance. Hopefully it's not a bad injury. He'll be devastated that he's got to come off. Never mind miss any more games. But I've heard a few people say a few things about Tarky, but he's, in a negative sense. And he has his moments, but he's a very consistent player. And that's what you need at this level, consistency. So he'll be gutted if he misses any games. Jared Brandtwaite, again, had a great chance, didn't he? Had a really, really good chance. 6 clearances, 1 block shot, won 2 out of his 2 ground duels, 3 out of 3 aerial duels. I was talking to someone before who thought he should have done better for both of the goals. And I had a little look at them, and I don't know, maybe I'm being biased. I didn't really see what he could do with the first one. It fizzes in really, really quickly. Can he get a leg out and stop it going past him? Possibly, but maybe if you're talking about, maybe if you're putting him on that pedestal of what we think he is against what he is or whatever, then maybe he does block the cross. And the second one, can he get a little bit tighter? Yeah, probably can get a little bit tighter. Can he get tight enough to stop the ball going out to Kovacic? Probably. But you're talking in the dying embers of the game. Where subs have come on and sharpened the game up for Manchester City. I don't know. I don't think they're glaring errors. Maybe that's what the best of the best do. But, I don't think Jared Brandtwaite's the best of the best anyway. I just think that he's a player with lots and lots of potential to become a really top player. I don't think you are best of the best when you're 22 at centre-back. I think the best centre-back in the country at the moment is 34 and has learned all that experience. And when he was 22, didn't have an ounce of what this lad's got. It's very, very rare you have a 22-year-old who's the full package. What you're buying, if anyone does buy him eventually, is potential. The potential to play at the heart of a really good defence for the next 10 years or so. So I think I think what can happen now and again is we do put players on a pedestal and then people go looking for faults of why they're not. And I can understand that. But I thought Brandtwaite was fine today. I thought he was absolutely fine. I said he's won all his duels. But as I said, yeah, just those moments, yeah. They're the defining moments of a game, so I get that. But Brandtwaite, I'd give it a 7 for today's performance. Into midfield, Adesanya Gay, I think taking him off, and I think he got took off because of the yellow card more than anything else. I imagine anyway. I don't know that for the definitive. But I think taking him off really hurt us. I think it really hurt us. We were pretty much wide open when he went off. 36 played 79 minutes, 36 touches. So it was 0-0 when he went off. 36 touches, 92% pass accuracy. Won 3 out of his 4 ground duels, 2 out of his 2 aerial duels. Again, decent all-round game, getting in the faces of people, winning the ball back, doing what he normally does, just pushing teams. And I think, yeah, the bit when he went off, it was a massive loss to us. I can understand why he went off because he was on a yellow card, and the manager's got to look at the full picture and look at energy. And we'd had a lot of the game without the ball, so it stretched the player like Adrissa. But we haven't got anyone to replace him, and they're just the facts. We haven't got anyone to replace him whatsoever, and that's something Everton are going to have to sort out. Whether he stays or obviously when he goes, Everton are going to have to sort that out. I'm not sold. Come on, to the other players who come on, I'm not sold on them. I'm really not. So Adrissa, I would give a 7. James Garner, I thought James Garner had a good game today as well, and like he was left with that responsibility once Adrissa Garner game went off. 48 touches, 78% pass accuracy. Ground duels, 7 out of 8 ground duels. Dribble attempts, 1 out of 1. Interceptions 2, total tackles 6. Thought he was really strong in the tackle today. And just patrolled that area. And I thought him and Adesagana gave me the good pair in there today. But he couldn't do it on his own once they'd gone off. So yeah, I thought James Garner, as I said, the tackles were really good today. Really concentrating on what he was doing, making sure he was concentrating on the passes, wasn't giving anything away cheaply. It was difficult in there because of Man City having so much possession. But I thought he had a strong game today. I really did. So I would give him a 7.3. Jack Harrison played 73 minutes. Again, when he went, 79 minutes. When he went off, it just didn't work. The subs just didn't work whatsoever. He tracked back, worked hard, went forward. I'd like to see him throw a few more crosses into the box. 48 touches, 84% pass accuracy. Crosses 5, none of them accurate. Dribble pass 4 times, total tackles 2. I don't think he had a great game, but I'd like to have seen him there was a few opportunities he had to put the ball into the box. Listen, he was nowhere near as good as had an effect on the game as he did last week. But the sub didn't work when we replaced him. So yeah, it didn't really threaten them. Doesn't really threaten that many teams, but certainly wasn't going to threaten a Man City team today. Although when he played for Leeds, he used to do that quite regularly. I mean, technically he is a former Manchester City player, Jack Harrison, isn't he? But yeah, it's weird because I don't think he had a particularly brilliant game, but the subs didn't do anything when they came on to make that any better. So Jack Harrison, I would give a 6.5 for today. On the other side, in Jai, few moments, played 79 minutes again, still trying to find that fitness. 31 touches, 90% pass accuracy, no shots on target, 1 shot off target, 2 out of 2 dribble attempts, 3 out of 3 ground duels, 1 out of 1 aerial duel. Looked all right in the first half. Thought he tired in the second half. I thought he kept the ball really well in the first half, but just tired. Just didn't do anything in the second half that I can remember, really. I think he is still searching for that true fitness, as the other fella used to say. So, yeah, he's getting fitter every game, but maybe he's not making as much of an impact. But certainly didn't make too much of an impact there. I thought, as I said, I thought he was all right in the first half, but second half he just drifted out of the game. So I'd give him a 6.8. Abdoulaye Doucouré, good energy, 90 minutes again. 83% pass accuracy from 38 touches. Won 4 out of his 8 ground duels, 1 out of his 3 aerial duels. Didn't really have any moments in front of goal, did he? I think he had one which forced the keeper to save it, but it looked like it was going wide anyway. But maybe, I don't know, from my angle anyway. Again, it's all about the energy with him. I think that's why the manager loves him. Run all day for you. But sadly, just didn't do enough today. So I'd give him a 6.7. And I suppose the one I'm looking at the comments and just listening to a few people after the game. Is Armando Broja, and I would not have started Broja today. I think it wasn't a game for him. Now, again, I sat here last week and I discussed the idea of seeing players play and talking, when people say, we want to see players for the future, want to see if someone can play. Now, weird that Chimiti wasn't on the bench today. I've not seen the press conference yet, so I don't know if anyone's asked them. But weird that Chimiti wasn't on the bench. Now, people have talked about playing, giving people opportunities. This is the flip side, isn't it? We sat here last week, we won a game, and we were all delighted. Broja had played, but then Beto came on, was better. Now the manager is probably give Broja another game to see him up front. I didn't think this was the game for him. I thought Man City squeezed so high that the centre backs are not even on the halfway line. Sometimes they're higher than the halfway line. That's how far they squeeze you. And I thought Beto, you can go long to Beto, and he'll cause enough drama to maybe get the knockdown to the core. But also, they leave a lot of space behind so you can play that ball that Beto likes. So for me, I thought it was a mistake. I thought it was a mistake not starting Beto. But on the flip side of that, Broja drops in deep on an already high line. And no one goes past him in this team. So, to me, I just didn't think it worked either way. The setup was better for Beto, and Broja doesn't offer you. And I just thought it was very, very strange to play. Now, Broja can't play next week, can he? So, we'll have Beto back in the side, I'd imagine, next week anyway. Maybe that come into the thinking. Maybe the thinking was this might be his last opportunity. You know, he wouldn't be playing wouldn't starting for a couple of weeks. This might be his, but get me words. Might be his last opportunity. We'll wait and see. But I just don't see him as that. The manager was asked on the press conference on Thursday about him playing wide, and he didn't seem to have any clue of him ever playing wide. Now, he might have just been being stupid. Might have been doing stupid, playing stupid. But I don't know. But Broja's not a centre forward for Everton. He's just not an Everton centre forward. He's not physical enough. He's not like a number 9. I know you've got to change with the game, but also your club has like traditions, and you normally sort of stick with them. Also, I just don't see how you're going to get enough out of him. He doesn't look like a threat to me, like a goal threat, because he's never in the right areas. There was a couple today we played through to him, and he wasn't strong enough to stop the defender getting the ball off him. And I just straight away that's alarm bells for me with any centre forward. So yeah, I'm not convinced by him whatsoever as a centre forward. Maybe playing off a centre forward or playing wide, maybe in a proper front three, maybe, but he ain't a centre forward for Everton, and that's just fact. So I wasn't impressed by him at all today. Played 63 minutes, 22 touches, 40% pass accuracy. Won 1 out of his 3 ground duels, won 5 out of his 10 aerial duels. I mean, that's not terrible. I'll give him that. That's not terrible. Just looking for his dribble attempts, none. Now, he had a couple last week as he held onto the ball. Hang on. I'll show you this. Let me just show you this. I'll just show you this heat map. This is heat map there. I mean, that's not great, that is it? That's not great. The centre circle being your hottest spot, and he wasn't even on. Is that for one kickoff? I mean, that's not good. That as a heat map, So I'm not impressed by him at all, and I know he hasn't played many games, but I just don't. I don't know what he's. I'm not really sure what he's supposed to be good at. If I'm honest, I don't know. I'm not particularly convinced by him whatsoever. And it's a £30 million price tag, not a chance on earth. The only way I'd have him back is obviously on loan. That's the only way I'd have him back. And it'd be almost like a shame if we didn't get him back on loan because I feel like a wasted year in many ways. But no one's paying 30 million for this player. I read an article this week in The Athletic. I think it might have been Paddy and one of the Chelsea, and they were like, Chelsea are very confident with the market for centre forwards as it is that they'll get bids. It's like, he doesn't score goals. Doesn't score goals. Hasn't scored a goal for us. I'm scratching my head how many shots he's had on target while he's been in an Everton shirt. Don't get me wrong, he hasn't played many games, but I can't remember really seeing Broja have a shot on target and go, oh God, wow, that was so unlucky. I mean, if anyone in the comments wants to, like, tell me, but I can't really think of Broja having too many shots. But there you go. But listen, I don't know. I'd have him on loan just basically if there wasn't any other loans. That's the only reason, by the way. I wouldn't be like knocking on the door day one going, we want him back. But I'm just not convinced by him at all. So I give him. Also, the Everton centre forward case, you never get the ball. You don't have many touches. So I take that into, but that's why I think you have to be in this Everton team. Maybe not an Everton team in the future, but this Everton team, I think you have to be like a certain sort of like build and stature and be able to win the ball in the air. And I don't think he's got it basically. So I'd give him a 6 for today. Michael Keane came on for the last 38 minutes. 5 clearances, 1 block shot, 1 yellow card. Errors leading to a shot, 1. Dribbled past 3 times. Ground duels, none out of 3. Aerial duels, 1 out of 1. Quite simply, he shouldn't have been on the pitch. The moment the one where he let it bounce and then he missed the header and the lad got through, and I think Pickford had to save it. We've just been talking about looking at players who could have a future at Everton. Michael Keane does not have a future at Everton. He does not have a future at Everton. So, and that's not even like, I know people go, well, there's no point playing Dom or playing whatever. He doesn't have a future at Everton. He hasn't had a future at Everton for 3 years. I mean, whoever gave him that last contract, Jesus. But he doesn't have a future at Everton. So why are we bringing him on? I think that's like today. That's like a manager will make subs, and sometimes they happen and sometimes they don't. And it can just be in the order. It can just be in the way the game goes. I mean, the Moyes last week brings Dwight McNeil on, and it instantly works. So, but I think this one was where I don't even think you should be thinking about it. I think a manager will always have thoughts on, or they'll always have subs ready for different like scenarios. Surely one of our centre backs get injured that he can't be the person who comes on. Surely. When you've got 3 right backs sitting on the bench and you can just move Jake O'Brien into his natural position. A lad who's played like, against Mbappe. I just, that's like a genuine, like, that's like that's like something Moyes has got wrong. Like, I don't think he's got anything else wrong while he's been at Everton. That's his first like clanger today for me. That's his proper first clanger. So hopefully, well, we'll see next week, won't we? If Tarkowski, which you doubt will be available, whether Michael Keane starts, but surely you get Jake O'Brien in, you go work on him all week as a centre back, and you get Patterson at right back, and you work on them all week in those positions. Surely that's what you've got to do now. Jake O'Brien's been waiting for an opportunity. People have been saying, I want to see Patterson at right back or whatever. Well, now it's your opportunity. That's your future, isn't it? That's your future. That back 4 is potentially your future. Obviously, Brandtwaite's got to stay, and Michalenko, might be challenged, let's just say. But that's got to be your future. And if you don't look at that and you put Michael Keane in, then I just don't see the point, personally. And I will be critical of David Moyes if he does that. But even today, even if you don't bring Patterson on, I'd bring Ashley Young on. Or I'd bring Seamus Coleman on. I would have brought either of them on before I brought Michael Keane on. Yeah. How many managers now has he played for, Michael Keane? It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, did nothing for me today. Did absolutely nothing for me. Michael Keane, a 5. Beto, think he should have started, but when he come on, he didn't really do anything. 1 shot blocked, 11 touches. Ground duels won 1 out of 1. Aerial duels won 3 out of 3. But really nothing in the final third. Once too much time on the ball. And yeah, didn't really do anything. Didn't offer anything. But for me, he should have started the game, if I'm honest. But he didn't offer anything at all. So yeah, probably start next week and we'll see. But Beto's one for me that if you get a good offer in the summer, he goes. Simple as that. And that can sort your PSR out straight away by selling a player. If you can get what we paid for him, or you can get what his amortization is, then I'd sell him. No problem about it. He's just not got enough quality. I know he's had his purple patch now, and it was great, and it probably has kept us in the league, the goals he scored, but not good enough for me. Beto, give us 6. Dwight McNeil came on for the last 11 minutes, and he made an impact last week, but he didn't make any impact on this game whatsoever. 1 dribble attempt, successful. 5 touches of the ball, 0% pass accuracy. Ground duels 4, didn't win 1. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. It just did. The substitution just didn't work. We hadn't. He looked like he was running in treacle to me at times. He still doesn't look fit. But it just didn't work because as an offensive unit by that stage, we were like the team had lost all any kind of ideas. We weren't winning the ball back in midfield because because of Disagana Gay went off, and we couldn't win the ball back, and we couldn't. It was just City dominating over and over again. But the problem is this was still at 0-0. Let's remember that we weren't at this stage in the game. We weren't like chasing to score a goal. We were still 0-0. But the subs simply didn't work, and they actually worked against us because we become so open in midfield and sort of disjointed. I mean, Dwight McLean was on the right and Alcaraz sort of on the left, and it just didn't work. We didn't have any shape. We didn't have any shape whatsoever. Dwight McNeil, 5.5. Carlos Alcaraz, similar. Didn't 4 touches. Ground duels 1, 0-1. Aerial duels were 1 out of 1. Lost possession 4 times. As I said, 4 touches. I think it was his pass that led to us losing possession. It didn't offer. It just didn't work. The subs did not work at all. As I said, they made us more open. They allowed Man City to have more of the ball because there was no shape. We lost the shape when we made the subs. Again, you got to look at. I'd question the manager. You are allowed to do that, by the way. I'd question the manager on those subs. I think he was just trying to bring energy to the team, but also he's looking at players, isn't he? Dwight McNeil's come back from injury. Beto, prove a point. Tim Iburum, Carlos Alcaraz playing for the future. Iburum was having a look at him. Thought he'd bought Keane on, obviously. Alcaraz, I give a 5.5 to as well. Tim Iburum, I'm not convinced at all. 8 touches, 80% pass accuracy. Won 1 out of 3 ground duels, 1 out of 2 aerial duels. So he's done all right there. I just don't know what kind of player he is yet. So it's difficult to make an assessment. He will have had more opportunities in this game than those other players because he's playing in midfield and he knows what he's doing on his job is. But as those 5 subs, none of them worked. Bettel had to come on, but Bettel should have started. Michael Keane didn't have to come on. Maybe obviously you can only bring players on in 3 occasions in the game. We'd already been brought Keane on, so maybe we didn't have to bring 4. Well, we brought Bettel on his own as well, didn't we? So we had to make the other 3 all at once. It's a silly rule, but that's the way it is. Maybe we should have. I don't know. What can you do? He wanted to make 3 subs. He made 3 subs. I don't know. What can you do? Tim Boone might give 6.3. It just didn't work. The subs didn't work. They worked last week. The subs worked. They worked. They all worked last week pretty much because we grabbed hold of the game in the last half an hour because of the subs, and then Dwight McNeil ends up stealing the ball, giving it to the core, and we win the game. This week they just didn't work. Why? Because you're playing against a better team. You're playing against a better team who brought better subs on, and that's basically why it didn't work. Because they brought on better subs than we have. Their subs are better than our players, and that's just the fact, isn't it? That is why we lost the game. Is because when it really mattered, they had players with more ability to damage us, and we didn't look like scoring a goal all game, apart from centre halves on set pieces. So we know what we need to do in the summer. We have to buy players in the final third who can make a difference, and maybe a midfielder who can make a difference, who can grab hold of the game and get up and down. And that's maybe where Carlos Alcaraz, why we mightn't sign him, let's just say. But he needs to start a game as well, Carlos Alcaraz. But him coming on, not in a natural position, and in a game where the other team have got the loads of the ball, Boone, I think, is more offensive than he is defensive. So it is one of those things. We've been beaten by a better side, but they weren't the better side today as such. It should have been a draw. And if Taki stays on the pitch, I think it would have been a draw. I think we lost his leadership in defence, talking to the midfielders. And, we brought on Michael Keane as well. So listen, it is what it is. I don't think any of us are really devastated. I'm annoyed that we've been beaten at Goodison with only 3 games to go. That is annoying. Like to have kept that run going all the way to the end of the season. But the manager, the managers have got a good look at some of the players, and that's what people have been asking for. And if that means you lose a game, you lose a game. As I said, I sat here last week and I said how good it was that we'd won a game of football. Maybe by not seeing players. And this week, maybe we've seen the players and we have been beaten. But I didn't want to see Michael Keane. So, I'm sure the manager has learned something about some of his players today. And we move on to next week. Chelsea, R12. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's a difficult game. It's not the hardest game in the world, but without Tarkowski, it's a little bit harder. But the manager's got to make up his mind this week what he wants to do. Personally, I'd put Jacob Bryan in centre-back and play Patterson or Seamus at right-back and see what happens. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So disappointing, but it is what it is. There you go. Make sure you go and check out Baz's videos. If you haven't checked out my Glasgow reaction, please go and check it out. I've tried to do something a little bit different this week with sort of mind on the last game of the season. I've tried to be a little bit arty with my video. So go and check it out. Subscribers. Let me see how many subscribers we're on now. Bear with. 89,966. Come on, people. Get us to 99,000 by the end of this weekend, please. Or the end of the night, even. Right, we'll be back. We're going to be live doing the final word for Premier members on Monday. There'll be no 1 o'clock live because it is Easter Monday and stuff, and family and that, and Easter eggs and that and stuff. So check out Bad's videos. I'll see you all later. Bye.